We're going to start our meeting. Shh. Thank you. I'm just going straight to you.
Okay. I note that Mr. Robert Mujica was named Director of the Division of the Budget effective January 13, 2016, replacing Mary Beth LeBay. Todd Sherman, representing Mr. Mujica, and Chris Curtis, representing Commissioner Jerry Boone from Taxation and Finance, are participating in the meeting via video conference from the New York State Division of Budget Conference Center at the Capitol Building, Room 131 in Albany. I also note that Elaine McCann from the Division of Budget is attending the meeting and want to make a couple of comments in that regard.
Absolutely. We realize this is Elaine's last meeting. We'd like to express our appreciation, and I know the Commissioner may, as well as Mary may have a couple of comments, but I guess I'm looking forward to one of these eventually too.
Yeah.
A plaque in recognition to Elaine McCann in her role as designee to the New York State Budget Director from June of 2009 to January of 2016. Whoa. In appreciation of your counsel and dedicated service towards fulfilling the mission of the New York State Housing Finance Agency, State Affordable Housing Corporation, New York State of New York Mortgage Agency, Municipal Bond Bank Agency, Tobacco Settlement Financing Corporation, and their affiliated committees to create and preserve quality, affordable rental housing and sustainable home ownership in communities across New York State. It is greatly, your service is really appreciated, and we will miss you. Thank you. Commissioner.
Thank you very much.
Elaine and I have not worked together a whole lot, but I've gotten a strong sense of how much she contributes, not only to her work serving for the Department of Budget on these various committees, but really to the agency. We have worked together on preparing the budgets and so forth. She's part of a really, really strong unit. We're so lucky to have that whole team, and Elaine is really I don't know, I hope I'm not going to hurt Todd's feelings when I say that Elaine seems to be the backbone of it. I don't know what part, I guess, and then the other parts of the body, I guess everybody will have to sort of divvy them out. But we're going to miss her terribly overall. And I know that Marion, who has worked tremendously closely with Elaine, wanted to say a few words as well.
I do. Elaine, it was my absolute pleasure to work with you. So that 2009 to 2016, we totally overlapped. Elaine is a consummate professional, a wonderful person. She has perfect judgment about things, unfailing integrity. She was an incredible, valuable partner to the agency as we launched the House New York initiative. I think I had her on speed dial through that whole ramp up of that program as we went back and forth, sort of testing the financial integrity of what we were about to launch. We couldn't have done it without you, Elaine. I will miss your partnership as we move forward, but we wish you well in this next chapter of your life. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for your kind words. I truly appreciate your taking the time out of your meeting to recognize me. This is my last day as an employee of New York State. I am, up until this moment, I have not felt any trepidation about leaving my job, but I have to say that being at this meeting has reminded me of really the highlights of working in the Budget Division and working for New York State, because you have been a wonderful group to work with, in particular the agency who I've had most of my interaction with, but really working with the board has been a very rewarding and interesting experience. And I'm very pleased to have had an opportunity to be part of our mission. Thank you.
I'll now ask for motions and seconds to call to order the January 28, 2016 meetings of the New York State Housing Finance Agency, the New York State Affordable Housing Corporation, the State of New York Mortgage Agency, State of New York Municipal Bond Bank Agency, and the Tobacco Settlement Financing Corporation. Motions for HFA and AHC, and a second.
So moved. Second.
Sunny May will defer until the Commissioner returns. Motions for MBBA and TSFC, second.
So moved.
So moved.
All items are presented to each board throughout today's meetings. These motions and seconds will be used unless specific items call for a different vote, or unless any board member or director wishes to record his or her vote differently.
We're going to skip over the president's report for a couple of minutes. He'll be back in a second. Adam will now report on committee actions.
Okay. Committee, the first, the report of the Mortgage Insurance Committee. The committee took the following actions earlier today. The committee adopted the minutes of the December 10, 2015 meeting. It approved 100% mortgage insurance for Highland Meadows, Dutchess County. It approved 100% mortgage insurance for Golden Park Apartments, Dutchess County. It approved 100% mortgage insurance for Cayuga Meadows, Tompkins County. It approved 100% mortgage insurance for Webster Green Apartments, Bronx County, and it recommended an increase in commitment to provide 100% mortgage insurance on a CPC first mortgage loan for projects in Onondaga County. As to report of the audit committees, those committees met today and took the following actions. All 5 committees adopted minutes. HFA, Sunny May, MBBA, and TSFC recommended the approval of the agency's financial statements for fiscal year 2015. All 5 committees adopted a resolution approving internal audits information technology audit report. All 5 committees adopted a resolution approving the audit committee's action plans for 2016. All 5 committees adopted a resolution approving the audited supplementary financial information report. All 5 committees received the audit committee evaluation materials. As to the governance committees, these committees took the following actions. All 5 committees adopted minutes. All 5 adopted a resolution recommending the approval of board self-evaluations. HFA, Sunny May, and MBBA governance committees adopted a resolution recommending the review and approval of the agency's mission statements. The HFA, Sunny May, and MBBA committees adopted a resolution recommending the approval of acquisition, disposition, and inventory guidelines and reports. The Sunny May Committee approved extension of a contract with Doug Dilla Consulting, and all 5 committees reviewed legal services contracts with firms on the agency's non-bound council panels.
Okay. Yep. We'll now present items shared by HFA, AHC, State Mortgage Agency, MBVA, and TSFC. Adam will record the approval of the minutes.
The minutes of the meetings of HFA, AHC, Sunny May, MBBA, and TSFC held on December 10, 2015 shall be deemed approved absent corrections from members and directors.
Adam will now take the requisite steps to go into executive session.
And I ask for a motion and a second to go into executive session pursuant to Section 105F of the Open Meetings Law to discuss the financial, credit, or employment history of a particular corporation. So moved. Okay.
Second.
Second. So we'll now go into
One
executive.
executive session. I have to ask everyone to leave. Thank you. We're back in session. I'm going to go to Adam for a minute to be able to take us into session also, since the commission is here, the State Mortgage Agency also.
Great. And I'll note, as we reconvene the public session, that no votes were taken in executive session. As Chair noted, Commissioner Rubin was here for the duration of the executive session, so we're going to go back and for Sunny May purposes, call to order again as of the beginning of the earlier session, the Sunny May board meeting as well. I need a motion and a second for Sunny May.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
and for Sunny May, you'll note that the minutes for Sunny May are going to be deemed approved for December 10, 2015, absent corrections from members and directors. And we then go to the president's report.
That's me. Good morning, everyone. Thank you again. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Earlier this morning, the Mortgage Insurance Committee approved 5 items and insurance for 4 projects representing 344 units of affordable housing located in Bronx, Dutchess, Sullivan, and Tompkins counties. At HFA today, we'll be seeking your approval for 3 items. It's a relatively short agenda, including 2 multifamily projects representing 134 units. Today at AHC, you'll review awards being sought totaling just over $4 million. Representing assistance to 121 units of housing in 8 counties. And this morning you'll be presented with various administrative items, including the agency's financial and mission statements, the board's self-evaluation, annual program budgets, and the investment report. Just a couple of quick notes. just trying to remind myself of what's happened since we last met. It's been a busy period. So just a couple of things very quickly. The State of the State and executive budget address that the governor made in Albany 2 weeks ago? 1 week ago? I don't know when it was. January 13th?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks ago. Wow, seems like an eternity. Was, I think, well received. Generally speaking, it was a terrific address for those of you who saw it. And for this agency in particular, it was really a very important moment. The governor announced a 5-year, $20 billion new commitment to housing and homelessness across the state. A big chunk of that capital commitment is going to be administered by this agency over the next 5 years if the budget is approved, which we're hoping that it will. I would be remiss if I didn't offer a lot of thanks to our colleagues at the Department of Budget, Todd Sherman on the left there, for really, since I showed up here, basically 6 or 7 months of hard work, arm in arm with our entire team, to try to come to a point where the governor could stand up and credibly make a case for this. It really is, it's been a terrific partnership, really, across the board. The result of all of this, again, if the budget is approved as is that this agency is going to be able to ramp up what's already a substantial amount of work over the last few years. We're going to be accelerating tremendously. That's going to put a lot of pressure on everybody in this room and everybody in the rest of this building and other buildings across the state, and we are talking about what that's going to mean for us. But the end result, after 5 years of new capital commitments and then a number of years after that to watch the buildings actually come up, I think is going to be a real difference for the state, and that's both on the affordable housing side, where we're going to continue the programs that have been so successful, and also on the supportive housing side and other assistance to the homeless. And the governor has talked a lot about that in the last few months and the last 30 years in his case. He is, I would say, laser focused on this particular issue, as are a lot of people. And this was just the beginning, I think, of what is really a statewide commitment, a state agency-wide commitment to solving this problem. So more to come on that, but it really was it was a terrific day for the state government and a terrific day for this agency and our partner agencies. Just a couple of other things, and we'll be rolling out, I hope, a housing plan, the full housing plan with more details in the next month and a half, something like that. Monday of next week, I go to Albany for my first ever appearance before a joint committee of the Assembly and the Senate to talk about our budget.
Good luck.
It should be wonderful. I spent 2 days ago, I went up to Albany to spend some one-on-one time with some of the legislators who I'll be appearing in front of, and they were all extremely supportive of the budget for the most part. They have obviously their own views on certain issues, but I think it's going to certainly be an interesting session, and I will be well prepared, I hope. Say again?
Nothing. I'm just mentioning some of the a suit of armor would serve you well. Okay.
Yes, exactly. We are looking forward to an interesting day. There's a new Finance Committee chair, Senator Young. I had a chance to go spend, as I think I mentioned last time, spend a full day traveling around her district with her, and that turns out to have been time well spent because she was shortly thereafter named head of the Finance Committee, so that was good. So anyway, more on that once we're done. Hopefully, we will not be making any news on that day. Finally, we and the rest of the staff continues to travel around the state, celebrating the work that we are already doing and lining up new exciting projects for the year ahead. Our unified funding round applications came in. Those are being reviewed now. We have some terrific projects that we'll be talking about more as time goes on. We've done some terrific housing events. We did one in Rochester. I mean, I could go on and on. The work. We're going to have to start, once we get this housing plan underway, we're going to have to set aside an extra hour for these president reports, because it is, I think the work, reporting the work of the agency is going to take more time than it has in the past. Anyway, really just a lot to talk about, but I could not have been prouder to sit in the audience and watch the governor talk about a new commitment to housing. It really is, I think, kicks off a new aggressive phase for the agency. So thank you for everything that everybody has done to try to make that possible.
No, great. I was there also, and couldn't have been prouder of the governor's continued and expanded commitment to housing and the realization that it's going to be more work for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And more work for the board members also, and that is a good thing, that across the state, we're going to be doing more. So it was inspiring, very inspiring.
Board compensation will remain at the same level.
No, board compensation is going to be doubled.
Doubled, yes.
As
Oh,
a
I'm
matter
sorry,
of
that's
fact, I
exactly
heard him
right.
mention that
I
too,
propose
doubled.
Exactly right. Yes.
You know something, I would strongly suggest you reach out to the governor directly on that.
Yeah,
But
that's
he is
right.
at least going to double your compensation, so,
Absolutely.
you know, you can be thrilled with that.
And to be clear, in case anybody doesn't know that, the board gets paid zero. So it's clear. Okay.
We don't get paid? No.
I know, not to my knowledge. Okay.
I'm
Great. Okay, yeah, please.
as it, I'm sure that we have all noticed that there are representatives of our union in the room. I understand that somebody wanted to make a brief statement from UAW Local 2110.
Yes.
Come on up
Can I
now.
make it from here, or?
You can make it from there, sure, if
Okay.
you're more comfortable.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and Mr. Rubin, and all of the board members for allowing us to speak. My name is Maida Rosenstein. I'm the president of UAW Local 2110, and as you mentioned, we represent and include many of the extremely dedicated, hardworking professional staff that work at this agency. And many of whom are here today. And we have a very, very simple request for the board and the executive leadership of the agencies, and that is we want a fair contract with a fair compensation structure. Our members have been without an increase for over 5 years. There are those who've said that our members the offer is exactly as other state workers have. That actually isn't true, and we ask you to look into that and agree to a fair contract. And that's our message, very simple. Thank you.
Not at all, thank you, and thank you for being concise and to the point, and we hear you. We hear you, and I think the executive staff also has heard you. So, thanks for taking the time and being, bringing the point up with us. I guess we're going to now move to the shared action items. Item number 2, resolution approving the agency's financial statements for fiscal year 2015. Earlier today at the audit committee meetings, a detailed presentation was made in connection with this item. It's now before the boards. Mr. Weinstock.
Nothing, right? No presentation. The presentation was made at the audit committee.
Since I think everybody was here basically for the presentation, is there anything else, anyone? Adam?
No.
Now before the Sunny May HFA, MBTA, and TSFC boards for approval is a resolution of the State of New York Mortgage Agency, the New York State Housing Finance Agency, the State of New York Municipal Bond Bank Agency, the Tobacco Settlement Financing Corporation approving audited financial statements for fiscal year 2015. Assuming the first and second previously entered for all 4 agencies, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motions are carried, the resolution adopted.
Item 3, resolution reviewing and approving mission statements of the agencies. This item was also discussed earlier today at the governance committee meetings. Is there any other questions on that? Adam?
Before all 5 boards for approval is a resolution of the State of New York Mortgage Agency, the New York State Housing Finance Agency, the Affordable Housing Corporation, the State of New York Municipal Bond Bank Agency, and the Tobacco Settlement Financing Corporation reviewing mission statements, assuming the first and second previously entered for all 5 agencies. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motions are carried and the resolution adopted.
Item 4, approval of board self-evaluation. This item was discussed at the governance committee meetings and is now before the boards. Any comments on this, questions? Adam?
Now before all 5 boards is a resolution of the State of New York Mortgage Agency, the New York State Housing Finance Agency, the Affordable Housing Corporation, the State of New York Municipal Bond Bank Agency, and the Tobacco Settlement Financing Corporation concerning board self-evaluations, assuming the first and second previously entered for all 5 agencies. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motions are carried and the resolution adopted.
We'll now move to the shared consent items. There'll be no discussion on the next 6 items unless board members so request. Item 5, resolution approving final annual program budgets.
Now before HFA and MBBA is a resolution of the New York State Housing Finance Agency and the State of New York Municipal Bond Bank Agency adopting program budgets, assuming the first and second previously entered for HFA and MBBA. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. The motions are carried and the resolution adopted.
At this point, Adam will call to order the Finance Committee meetings of HFA, State Mortgage Agency, MBBA, TSFC, which will be held jointly with HFA, State Mortgage Agency, MBBA, and TSFC board meetings. Adam.
I'll ask for motions and seconds to call to order the January 28, 2016 Finance Committee meetings of the New York State Housing Finance Agency, the State of New York Mortgage Agency, State of New York Municipal Bond Bank Agency, and the Tobacco Settlement Financing Corporation. A motion for HFA, please.
So, motion?
And a second? Motion for Sunny May, please.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
And motions for MBBA and TSFC,
So moved.
and a second? All items are presented to each committee throughout today's meetings. These motions and seconds will be used unless specific items call for a different vote, or unless any committee member or director wishes to record his or her vote differently. The minutes of the 51st meeting of the HFA Committee and the 19th meeting of the Sunny May Committee, as well as the 7th MBBA and TSFC Committee meetings, shall be deemed approved absent corrections from members and directors.
Item 6, resolution approving the annual investment report and quarterly investment report.
That's what I-
That is, well, at this point.
Now before the committees and boards is a resolution of the State of New York Mortgage Agency, the New York State Housing Finance Agency, the Affordable Housing Corporation, the State of New York Municipal Bond Bank Agency, and the Tobacco Settlement Financing Corporation approving annual reports on investments and a quarterly report on investments, assuming the first and second previously entered for all four finance committees. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motions are carried and the resolution adopted. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HFA, Sunny May, MBBA, and TSFC boards, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motions are carried and the resolution adopted.
Item 7, resolution approving the agency's annual procurement report for fiscal year 2014-15, 11/1/14 to 10/31/15, and review the agency's fourth quarterly procurement report, May 1/15 to 10/31/15. Adam.
Now before the boards is a resolution of the State of New York Mortgage Agency, the New York State Housing Finance Agency, the Affordable Housing Corporation, the State of New York Municipal Bond Bank Agency, and the Tobacco Settlement Financing Corporation approving annual procurement reports, assuming the first and second previously entered for the boards. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motions are carried and the resolution adopted.
Item 8, a resolution approving the agency's public authorities reporting information systems, Paris, filing report from 11/1/14 to 10/31/15.
Now before the HFA, Sunny May, MBBA, and TSFC boards is a resolution of the State of New York Mortgage Agency, the New York State Housing Finance Agency, the State of New York Municipal Bond Bank Agency, and the Tobacco Settlement Financing Corporation, accepting a filing under the Public Authorities Reporting Information System, assuming the first and second previously entered for all five agencies. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motions are carried and the resolution adopted.
Item 9, a resolution approving acquisition, disposition, and inventory guidelines and reports. Adam.
Now before the HFA, Sunny May, and MBBA boards is a resolution of the State of New York Mortgage Agency, the New York State Housing Finance Agency, and the State of New York Municipal Bond Bank Agency approving the acquisition disposition report, assuming the first and second previously entered for HFA, Sunny May, and MBBA. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motions are carried and the resolution adopted.
Item 10, resolution approving HFA audited supplementary financial information of the financial information or OFI report.
Now before the HFA board is a resolution of the New York State Housing Finance Agency reviewing and approving the audited supplementary financial information report, assuming the first and second previously entered for the HFA board. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motions are carried and the resolution adopted.
The next item on the agenda is an information item. There'll be no discussion on this unless board members or directors so request. Item 11, budget and financial plan results for the fiscal year ending 2015. There be no, okay, that's just for information. There being no further items for MBBA and TSFC boards and committees, I'm going to ask for a motion and a second to adjourn the MBBA and the TSFC meetings.
So moved.
Second.
Beautiful. Our next,
Assuming the
our
first.
next board meeting for MBBA TSFC is scheduled for Thursday, April 14, 2016 at 8:30 a.m. Thank you.
Good to see
I
you.
just had to do all the assistant financial secretaries and now.
Nice to see you actually.
Yeah, I'll be involved in
Moving around the outreach.
Good luck. Yeah. We'll see how that goes.
We'll now move to the State Mortgage Agency action item 12. Resolution approving an increase in mortgage insurance from $9,600,000 to $13 million on a permanent first mortgage loan for Pipe Block, Onondaga County. Oh, this item was discussed and voted on earlier at today's Mortgage Insurance Committee meeting, is now up for a vote by the State Mortgage Agency Board. There'll be no discussion unless the directors so request. We'll move to the vote. Adam?
Now before the board for approval is a resolution of the State of New York Mortgage Agency approving an increase in mortgage insurance and a commitment for the provision thereof for a CPC permanent first mortgage loan for Pike Block, Onondaga County, assuming the first and second previously entered for Sunny May. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motions are carried and the resolution is adopted.
There being no further items for the State Mortgage Agency Board and the Finance Committee, I'm going to ask for a motion and a second to adjourn the meetings.
Assuming the first and second previously entered.
So moved. Second. There we go.
Good. Our next board meeting is scheduled for Thursday, March 10 at 8:30 a.m. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Now we move the HFA items. Item 13, resolutions authorizing financing approval in an amount not to exceed $12,300,000 for Golden Park Apartments.
Good morning again, everybody. Golden Park Apartments is a 126-unit UDC project in the Village of Liberty, which is in Sullivan County, the Catskills, as everybody knows. This was before the board at its November meeting, at which point the board approved financing of up to 9.6 million mortgage and subsidy amount of 9.6 million also. What a coincidence. What happened was the developer finalized numbers with his contractor. Costs went up, but more importantly, what also happened was that the HUD project-based voucher rents went up, which we just love because that lets us support more mortgage debt. So we're here before the board asking for an increase in the maximum amount of bonds that we can issue for this project from the 9.6 to the 12.3, which the project can now support due to the higher rents. Any questions?
No questions.
Okay. And we continue to plow our way through that portfolio.
Right now, before the committee and the board are resolutions to be adopted that were transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the first and second previously entered for the committee. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motions are carried and the resolution adopted. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HFA board. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motions are carried and the resolution adopted.
Item 14, resolutions authorizing financing approval in an amount not to exceed $5,300,000 for Elizabeth Square Apartments.
Before I dig into the details of this particular project, I bring to the board's attention their much requested redo of our board memo. So I hope everybody noticed and was doing the happy dance. And we hope that what this does is pull the really critical information forward so you can see what we see about these projects, why they're so compelling to us, really the baseline financial information that we consider, and to try to build, bring that story forward about the project. Kudos to Jason Pearson, who is in the room, and Asia Archie, who left to go back upstairs, for their work in pulling this together and coming up with what I thought was a really good product. And so we welcome your feedback on it. If there's any additional tweaks that you guys would like to make, we're all ears, but we do hope this helps. Now to this Elizabeth Square project, which is in the Village of Waverly in Tioga County. at 430 Fulton Street. This is the ACK rehab of a 75-unit senior Section 8 project. The project is 33 years old. It participated in the Mark Up to Market program at HUD a number of years ago. As some of you may know, HUD Mark Up to Market wasn't exactly a hit in terms of meeting all the physical needs at projects, and so we find periodically that we're going back in and really doing more considerable work to bring these projects to where they ought to be. The other thing that we're seeing in the project-based Section 8 market is real interest from investors in purchasing these properties for their federally secured cash flow that they provide. And it's always our hope, instead of them going to investors, that they go to our affordable housing partners who we know will make the investments they need, be good stewards of these properties, and that's the case in this project with Liberty Affordable. The project contemplates a new 40-year regulatory agreement and continuation of the Section 8 subsidy, considerable rehab, including roofs, new windows, backup generators, new baths, ADA compliance. As I said, this is a senior project, mostly new kitchens. This is an acquisition from a related party. The limited partners in this project are looking to exit. We always take a hard look at those sorts of projects and what's happening to the economics underneath. In this case, there's slightly more than $1 million coming out to the sellers. We looked at exit taxes. That number does not cover the full exit taxes that people are going to owe. And I note, in considering that $1 million, that we're retaining at the project $673,000 of reserves that are staying at the project level. So that's also something that we think about when we look at acquisition prices. As I mentioned, the borrower for this project in the lead is Liberty Affordable. We do have them in the audience if you want to ask any questions. The agency has done a number of projects, specifically upstate, existing affordable preservation deals with Liberty Affordable. We are quite happy with the work that they do and value that partnership. We expect to finance this project through the open reso, as we do all of our transactions. The letter of credit during construction, sorry, I'm getting used to this new, is MBT Bank. We're expecting permanent mortgage insurance from the Sunny Mae Mortgage Insurance Fund, and the tax credits are proposed to be purchased by Raymond James at a purchase price of $1 per credit. Not bad for Tioga County. Are there any questions?
So, two questions. First of all, it seems like a great project. One is just on the new format, which I think is terrific, and I think gets us to the details more quickly. Under agency priorities, and this is not really about this project per se, but about sort of how you get to this. Two questions, I guess. One is, we talk about the priorities, but we just went through and approved our mission statement, and these don't really align. Not directly, or there's some, and I like these, and I like our mission, but you know, for example, promoting racial and economic integration isn't quite captured in our mission statement now, per se.
I know.
So I'm just curious whether there's a process. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I should let you finish.
And then just the last thing on this is just sort of the data that supports this, sort of what market studies we do or what demographic studies we do. I think this is a terrific direction to be going. I'm excited about it. I just want to know a little bit more about that because it's the first time it's shown up to the board.
Right. This actually did happen at the staff level, these priorities, but it really also captures, when we think about our priorities, we look very much, and it's one place where we see integration, at what are we prioritizing in the early round and the 9%. And it's a variety of types of projects. And then what we try to do is to get underneath, okay, so why do we like a housing opportunity project that locates, affordable housing in a high-performing school district? Like, what is it that we like about that? What do we like about infill, new construction in a downtown area? And so we really tried to get like under the hood of what those project types do for a community to try to come up with, what the underlying goals are. The mission statement always has seemed to me to be much, much broader, right? It talks about, new programs, performance just in terms of number of units. And we wanted to get to something that was a little bit more granular about the why of what we're doing. We also expect that as we launch into the housing plan, that these may shift a little bit. I think that, and we'll see when the housing plan gets released, but that will be a big driver of what we'll try to do. But in many ways, these really, very broadly meet the different sorts of projects that the agency would reach to do.
And does this sync up at all with what's happening on the affirmatively furthering fair housing process? Is that data exercise informing this in any way, or is it feeding back into that?
Well, I do think that we've always been cognizant, about where we're making decisions and are we doing that. There's definitely been a new, an increased effort at the agency to do that, but especially now we have a broader range of tools to really be able to do that, and that is why it's here as one of the goals.
Great. I would love to see this kind of get rolled up into, especially because we voted this morning on the governance committee on last year's, as we think about the course of this year. This is great to see, and I would certainly encourage you to come back to the board as perhaps on a quarterly or even on an annual basis to see how these goals at the level of granularity you're moving towards kind of get rolled up. I think it's great. The other thing is a tiny question.
Sure. If you're going to ask a tiny question, I'm going to need somebody else in the room to be able to read it besides me.
We don't seem to be, and maybe it's because we have such large reserves to begin with, we're not doing a replacement reserve increase. Is that normal?
Chloe, this is your project. And Roger, do you guys know Roger Harry? Roger Harry is our HUD secret weapon, but also oversees multifamily finance for Brad.
Address the reserves. The
Yeah.
reserves will be pre-funded at closing of $1,000 per unit, then there'll be an ongoing replacement into the reserve account going forward.
But with no increase, but is that standard?
Our regulatory agreement says it's based on a PNA, but because we're subordinating to the HUD regulatory, HUD subordinating their regulatory agreement, they have a bump up every time the project gets a rate increase.
Great. Thank you.
Anything else? Anything from Albany?
Now, before the committee and board, are resolutions to be adopted that were transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the first and second previously entered for the committee. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. The motions are carried and the resolution adopted, assuming the first and second previously entered for the HFA board. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motions are carried and the resolution is adopted.
Thank you.
Item number 15.
Fif-
Resolutions and an MIP award for $2.5 million for 210 Hancock Street, Hopkins County.
So the middle income program money allows us to subsidize units up to 130% of AMI. I think I've probably gone on a broken record about how excited I am about this. Those funds actually flow through HFA, but this project award is for a 9% project. So I am turning this over to Sean Fitzgerald, who runs our 9% program. Sean is in Albany in our offices and will address this item.
Good morning. Presented for your consideration is a resolution authorizing an award of up to $2.6 million in middle income program funds for the 210 Hancock Street redevelopment. This is a 59-unit mixed-income neighborhood revitalization project to be located in the city of Ithaca. The project will serve individuals and families with incomes ranging from 30% to over 105% of AMI. This infill new construction project lies on a strategic border between Ithaca's economically vibrant Fall Creek neighborhood and the transitional North Side Triangle neighborhood. The project addresses the needs of a neighborhood-specific revitalization plan that was adopted by the Ithaca Common Council, which specifically names this location as a critical site that should be redeveloped as part of a larger strategy to improve housing, green space, and provide opportunities within the neighborhood. The site includes 2 underutilized buildings that will be demolished and almost 1.5 acres of asphalt parking that will be redeveloped. The larger of the 2 underutilized buildings has been vacant since 2013 and has served as a magnet for criminal activity since that time. The project includes approximately 6,400 square feet of non-residential space, 3,800 of which will house an early Head Start program that will be operated by Tompkins Community Action, a local not-for-profit. The remaining non-residential space will be offered as office space for to-be-named tenants. The project leverages significant local funding from the city of Ithaca and Tompkins County, as well as a $2.2 million conventional loan from CPC. As Marion had mentioned, this was a project that came up through our competitive unified funding early award process, and in November of 2015, the project was awarded 9% tax credit, state low-income housing tax credit, and a community investment fund low-interest loan. That RFP for the competitive funding round also made middle-income program funds available to applicants. As such, I think this is another example of HCR, in particular the Office of Finance and Development, breaking down silos that used to exist between our agencies and creating efficiencies that expedite the delivery of important projects like this one. If there are any questions at this time, I'd be happy to take them.
Questions?
Great.
No questions. Adam?
Now before the committee and board are resolutions to be adopted that were transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the first and second previously entered for the committee. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motions are carried and the resolution adopted. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HFA board. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motions are carried and the resolution is adopted.
Now we move to the AHC consent item. Item 16, resolution authorizing award of grant funds for certain projects located inside and outside of the city of New York. This is a consent item. There'll be no discussion unless board members so request. Adam?
Okay. For AHC is a resolution of the New York State Affordable Housing Corporation authorizing awards of grant funds for certain projects located inside and outside of the city of New York, assuming the first and second previously entered. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
There being no further items for HFA Finance and Program Committee and the HFA and AHC boards, I'm going to ask for motions and seconds to adjourn the meetings.
Assuming the first and second previously entered for HFA Finance and Program Committee. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motions are carried. The committee is adjourned. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HFA and AHC boards. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motions are carried. Meetings are adjourned. The next board meeting is scheduled for Thursday, March 10 at 8:30 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.